Right now on Hoosier News Source, find out more about a law that's about more than just saving lives.
And IUDM had its annual Day of Hope. Find out how much was raised for Riley's.
And I have the details on what your first week of October will look like, as well as our fall forecast. Hoosier News Source starts now.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Hoosier News Source. I'm Lindsay Jackson.
And I'm Jonathan Levy. This week, we start off our show with Caroline Clark live and in studio with updates on this week's weather. Caroline?
Thanks, Jonathan. There will be a slight relief from the heat this week as cold front moves into our area Thursday afternoon. We have temperatures in the 60s in Chicago moving toward our area Thursday afternoon. You can see that there is a big difference in the temperatures between our area and Chicago and the other side of the cold front. The relief from the heat will not last long. However, as we look into a forecast for fall break, if you're planning on staying in Bloomington for fall break, we can expect the heat to stick around. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday all staying in the low 80s and partly sunny and a small chance of precipitation each day. We can expect a beautiful fall break, but now let's take a look at what the rest of the week has in store with our extended outlook. Wednesday was our highest of the week, a high of 85 and a partly cloudy. Thursday is a high of 82, and we have a chance of thunderstorms due to that cold front coming into our area. 84, 83, and 80 for our fall break part of the weekend. And early next week, we have low 80s for each day and a small chance of rain. We thought fall was upon us, but looks like we have another week of warm weather ahead of us. So take advantage of the warmer temperatures while they're here and enjoy fall break. Jonathan, Lindsay, back to you.
The Indiana Lifeline law is something all incoming Indiana University freshmen are taught during orientation. But this complex law is often confused and misinterpreted. IUSA and Culture of Care just hosted a forum about this law featuring the head legislator for it, Indiana Senator Jim Merritt. IUS TV reporter Katrina Nickel has more on this story.
The Indiana Lifeline Law, a law created keeping in mind students in these situations.
In early August, there's not a whole lot of school going on, a great time to be social, and so it's a prescription for disaster.
The law's purpose is to grant immunity to people underage if medical assistance is needed for being too intoxicated or in cases of sexual assault. But this law has caused controversy.
Well, there were some people who thought it would be enabling, that people would use it as an excuse to drink alcohol to excess.
But for Senator Jim Merritt, there was another reason he had fully supported and signed this law in 2012.
It was a mixed bag, and I chose safety.
Authorities say that the Indiana Lifeline law has now nearly saved 48 students' lives, and they believe it could be saving even more if students are well educated. So just how well do students on IU's campus know what the law is? That would be pretty well. Students know what it is.
And do you know what the Indiana Lifeline law is?
Yes.
Where they have learned it.
Freshman orientation, like you hear it around campus, like it's on the news, like Greek Life does it.
And how to use it.
So it's something I had to use myself once because of just circumstances, and this girl needed help, and so, I didn't get in any trouble.
IUPD Chief of Police Lori Flint said in a statement, "I believe it has made a difference, not only for those who need to use the law for immunity, but for those who want to do the right thing instead of choosing to not get involved. We are all in this together, and IUPD incorporates the message to take care of each other at every opportunity." For Hoosier News Source, I'm Katrina Nickel.
For more information on this law, you can visit protect.iu.edu.
Last Tuesday, a 19-year-old student reported to police that she was raped and strangled at Wright Quad by another student. The 18-year-old man invited the woman to his dorm after they met on a social media app. IUPD interviewed the suspect but are still trying to determine whether the man is a continued threat. The investigation is ongoing, but police continue to remind students to meet new people in a neutral space or bring a friend along if possible. Indiana University Dance Marathon has just hosted its third Day of Hope, where students try to raise as much money as possible in just 24 hours. This year, students raised over $490,000 for Riley Children's Hospital, their goal was only $300,000. Students raise money all year for IUDM by asking friends and families for donations, but for a Day of Hope, they get a little creative. Fundraising tactics and dares are all a part of the motivation to keep people fundraising throughout the day.
Like chair dares, so since our committee has raised $8,000, I'm getting duct taped to the sample gates. I hope we raise $15,000 for logistics, because then my director will get a lip tattoo.
IUDM will be taking place at the IU Tennis Center the weekend of November 2nd through the 4th.
Coming up, we tell you how the Hoosiers did in sports this week.
Plus, what's going on around the world with our global report.
These stories and more coming up. Stay with us.
And it's an honor to be here.
After suffering a season-ending injury in late March,
As you can see behind me.
Welcome back. In national news, this weekend, President Trump ordered the FBI to conduct a supplemental background check on his Supreme Court nomination, Judge Brett Kavanaugh. This comes after the 9-hour-long Senate Judiciary Committee meeting where Kavanaugh's accuser, Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, accused him of sexually assaulting her when they were in their teens. Trump says the FBI investigation should be complete by Friday. Updates to come.
Senator Bernie Sanders will make an appearance on campus this month on October 19th in Dunn Meadow. Sanders will be alongside Liz Watson, the Democratic candidate for Indiana's 9th Congressional District. Bernie Sanders last spoke on campus during the primary for the 2016 presidential elections.
Now let's take a look at stories people are talking about around the world. International reporter Larmi Sanyan joins us in studio with the Global Report.
Indonesia is trying to cope after an earthquake turned into a tsunami on Friday. More than 840 people are dead following the 7.5 magnitude earthquake, which triggered a powerful tsunami with waves as high as 10 foot high. Authorities say they are still searching for possible survivors trapped under debris. U.S. officials say they're sending rescue teams to the country.
We have already sent a lot of first responders and military and others to help, but it's a really bad situation.
The full scale of destruction in Indonesia is still unknown. Officials say Iran launched 6 missiles into eastern Syria yesterday. The missiles were fired with threats towards 3 countries written on them. Iran's Fars news agency says the missiles read "Death to America," "Death to Israel," and "Death to Saudi Arabia." They also say multiple people in relation to the attack were killed following additional missile launches. Russia will back the Iran nuclear deal even after the U.S. is withdrawn. This is according to the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. He says it's unfair to nullify the deal when Iran is still complying. Russia will back the Iran nuclear deal even after the U.S. is withdrawn. This is according to the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. He says it's unfair to nullify the deal, especially when Iran is complying.
We will do everything possible to preserve the deal that was approved by the UN Security Council.
President Trump is praising the new trade deal struck with Mexico and Canada. The new deal will replace the North American Free Trade Agreement. Trump has always opposed NAFTA. Next, the deal will need congressional approval.
Throughout the campaign, I promised to renegotiate NAFTA, and today we have kept that promise.
In Washington, I'm Natasha Chen.
That's all this week with Global Report. For Hoosier News Source, I'm Larmi Sanyan. Back to you, Jonathan.
Many IU sports teams were back in action this weekend. IUS TV sports reporter Joe Cantor joins us in studio with the highlights. Joe?
Thanks, guys. Another week, another win for the Indiana football team.
The Hoosiers traveled to Piscataway, New Jersey Saturday to square up with the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. This one was all Indiana early. Stevie Scott powered his way back into the end zone on the ground, as we've become accustomed to seeing, and Peyton Ramsey was busy, scrambling all day for his life. He ran for 50 yards and made some great throws as well. Here he is stepping up and stepping out on the Rutgers D, delivering that aerial assault. The Knights would attempt to come back late, but the Hoosiers' defense stood strong and held on to their 4th win of the season. Now to the battle for the Golden Boot in women's soccer. The old rivalry renewed between Indiana and Purdue. No love lost between these two schools. Michaela Brown and Chandra Davidson had some nice moves, generating several scoring chances for the Hoosiers, but to no avail, as this one was all about the defense. Save after save from Bethany Copel and Katie Lucci. This one worked its way to overtime before Purdue got the game-winning goal off the leg of Sarah Clark to win this one 1-0. The IU men's soccer team extended their winning streak to 9 in a row this weekend when they defeated Northwestern 2-1 and Penn State 2-0. The offense continues clicking for Indiana. Justin Rennicks dribbles in and gets the scoring going. Then on the through ball, Griffin Dorsey is the hammer and Northwestern's keeper is the nail as he finds the back of the net off the assist from Spencer Glass. Then against Penn State, a couple pinball-like headers from Austin Poncho and Reese Buckmaster. Ping, pong, goal! And the Hoosiers are taking that sweet 9-1 record down to Lexington Wednesday and putting it on the line against number 4, Kentucky. That's all for sports this week. Jonathan and Lindsay, back to you.
Well, thanks, Joe. That's all we have for you this week. For more campus and local news, visit our website at iustv.com.
And like us on social media. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at IUSTV News.
From all of us here at IUSTV, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.